Dr. Dagogo and Dr. Mishak, who will be leading us in that aspect of the presentation. In the meantime, we'll run through, as usual, the preliminaries of the SPE activities. As can already be seen on the agenda, we'll have the usual opening prayer. Safety comes first after prayers. Welcome address by the SC. I'm hoping the SC will join us soon. I also like to recognize SD on the call. SD Bada, Debola Bada, thanks for joining in and congratulations on your 20th work anniversary. That's loud. And we recognize consistency and excellence. As others will join in, maybe I missed the name registered on the Zoom call. Please, PC, you do justice to that once you get the mic. So let's start. As just one plea and correction, after the technical presentation, we would request that we take the photograph so that our moderator and our presenter will not leave without the photograph. So that will be the only adjustment I'd like to plead for us to make on this agenda. So we'll take the photograph after the technical question and answer session, so that if they choose to leave, we would have documented that this event took place indeed with their pictures. Do we have any volunteer in the house to lead us in the opening prayer? Any volunteer, please feel free to unmute and get us started with the opening prayer. Okay, then we'll use the national anthem for our opening prayer. Thank you, Simeon. Continue to pray that the labor of our heroes past shall not be in vain, and also the labor of ours shall count for something. Amen. Okay, the next item is on safety. Simeon, do I have Ofure on the call to lead this, or I can go ahead? Okay, I don't see Ofure. Setting the scene. Please, if you're driving, we would really strongly encourage you to park and don't be on this call while driving. Please respect every HSC precautions you have, fire alarm, every alarm system you have. If you are at home, we assume that a lot of people are heading home or at home. If you're still in the office, if you're expecting drill, honor it. If you're not, please obey the alarm. For the rules in the meeting, let's keep our mic muted so that we can have a decorum in the house. Ensure that you can also, while with your headset, hear sounds around so that if there's an emergency, you can attend to it. In the course of the meeting, if you choose to comment, use the raise hand buttons and you'll be duly recognized. You can always use the chat box anytime, most especially during the presentation. C to make your comments, Q to ask questions, and let's have a very safe and relaxed evening for our monthly technical meeting. Thank you very much and welcome. Okay, the section chair will be giving the remark, I don't see him clearly on the call. PC, as the 2IC, what will be the message you have for us? Please, I'll yield the mic to you. Thank you, madam.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Very clearly, madam.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining into this April monthly technical meeting. This event gives us opportunity to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And for this month, we have a very interesting topic, mathematics and science. I believe that we're going to pick up a lot of things from the presentation this evening. And we're lucky to have two doctors in our midst. The moderator and the presenter are all renowned doctors, and I'm sure they are going to do justice to the topic. So please, let's just listen, and as usual, pick up the learnings. That's one thing SPE does for us. Even topics that maybe we've forgotten in school, or things that we didn't have opportunity of studying in school. Every month we have an opportunity to listen, to pick up things that will help us as we continue to develop ourselves in our different fields. Thank you once again. All right.
Thank you very much, madam. Yeah, the opportunity is here again to learn, opportunity to take us back and be a refresher. So we are all privileged people to be on this call. And once again, I say welcome. Madam, while you still have the mic, okay, Essie, I just joined. Welcome, Essie.
Okay, so citation for the moderator, Dr. Omudu Meshak Lucky. He's a geophysicist with Shell. He has over 18 years E&P industrial experience, and he was a former lecturer at the University of Port Harcourt before he joined the oil and gas industry. Over the years, he has developed multi-skilling ability in project management and assignments, ranging from subsurface project delivery to surface geophysical operations delivery. He's done a lot of things: seismic processing, PPP, onshore and deep water, QI/ROG, advanced AVO, and reservoir characterization. He also has delved into HSSE and SP delivery, operational NTL management, operations and contract management. He's an excellent E&C compliance. Okay, he has excellent E&C compliance, supervising over 600 million USD seismic data acquisition projects. His skill covers onshore, offshore, shallow offshore, deep offshore development and exploration projects. He's held several roles with SPDC. He started as a PhD research intern on advanced AVO analysis projects before he joined the QI/ROG team as a QI geophysicist. Together 5 years, moved on to seismic acquisition as operations geophysicist, where he spent 10 years, and currently in seismic processing as a seismic processor. Our doc is happily married and blessed with children. It gives me the pleasure and the honor to welcome you, Dr. Omudu Meshak Lucky. Dr. Lucky, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for that citation. So I think the court is now mine. So I would do the other bit of also presenting the citation for our presenter today. And I'll just run quickly through his own citation. Like I spoke with him not long ago, Dr. Dagogo is a research geophysicist and a lecturer at the Geophysics Research Group, Department of Physics, University of Port Harcourt. He has about 10 years working experience. He's seasoned in principles and practice of his discipline, having worked in projects in a wide variety of research themes, including seismic processing and interpretation. It's quite a lot here, really. Reservoir characterization, time-lapse analysis, surface wave analysis, geophysical inversion. His interest is currently in reservoir geomechanics, geophysical modeling, and simulation. He graduated from the University of Port Harcourt. He obtained his MSc and BSc in physics, applied geophysics. He also holds an MSc and a DIC in petroleum geophysics from Imperial College London and a PhD in applied geophysics from the University of Port Harcourt. He's an ardent seeker and an ordained minister of God, a development enthusiast and lively member of society. He has held and holds several positions, both in religious and secular settings, through which he contributes to the upliftment of humanity, including being a visiting lecturer at the Center of Excellence, that's Shell Center of Excellence at the University of Benin. This he has done for several years. His hobbies include games, soccer, movies, and music. He's happily married also to Tejiri, and they are blessed with a daughter. So that's the citation for Dr. Dagogo T. And today he will be talking to us. So you're welcome, Dr. Dagogo. Today he will be talking to us on a very salient topic, and it has to do with for those of us who had taken some time to look at the abstract. It's quite interesting to see that he will be talking to us on behalf of the co-authors Balogun and Muzan from the Department of Physics, University of Port Harcourt. And the topic is resolving the mathematical paradox of seismic wave velocities. My training always tell me to always look at the keywords in topics. And then I was looking at the word paradox. What does it really mean? So we say this, and then we say the other, just like the geologists will have two hands. Either is this hand or is that this other hand. And we're talking to us on wave propagation. And then the issues around looking at the theory and then the practice. So what is a paradox? Then you say that velocities are inversely proportional to, density on one hand. And then on the other hand, you're not saying that, when you do measurements, do experiments, you discover that the densities of materials or rocks, for those of us in the industry talk more about rocks, you begin to see that as the density increases, the velocity increases. So how do we resolve these paradox? So that's what Dr. Dagogo will be talking to us on the formulations they have, worked out to make this thing very easy, make the equation simple, so that we can easily, assimilate what these velocity stuff and density relationship, what they are all about. So I want to yield the floor to Dr. Dagogo to please come up with his presentation. Dr. Dagogo, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much.
Doctor, before you continue, please, if we have questions, we can quickly, we just put them in the chat box and we'll take them after his presentation. So the floor is yours. Thank you very much. I will come in when you've done 15 minutes to tell you that you still have some few more minutes to go. So your time starts counting now.
Thank
right.
you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, just give me a minute to share my screen and then get to it. Can we all see my screen right now? Hello?
Yes, I can. Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, I can see you.
How to exit to be sure. Okay, good evening, everyone. Let me say welcome to you to the SPE monthly technical meeting. Permit me to use this opportunity to express my gratitude to the SPE, like the Port Harcourt chapter, for giving me this opportunity to share my research thoughts with this audience. I want to appreciate my colleagues who took part in this research, and also thank them for allowing me to present it to this platform. Okay, this evening, we'll be talking about our research thought that we have titled Resolving the Mathematical Paradox of Seismic Wave Velocities. And for this presentation, we're going to go through the following outline. Okay, by way of introduction, let me remind us, and I'm sure most of us know already, that seismic velocities are very, very important when it comes to hydrocarbon exploration or exploitation. It's an integral part of the seismic analysis, which is a frontline process as far as hydrocarbon exploration is concerned. Velocities find use in the full spectrum of hydrocarbon of seismic exploration. Finds use from time to depth conversion, migration to imaging, quantitative interpretation, pore pressure prediction, geomechanics, and lots more areas. I'll just mention a few here. So seeing how important velocities are to seismic processing or to seismic exploration, and by extension, the hydrocarbon exploration and exploitation, it becomes very important for us to have a very good understanding of what velocities are. And also, it's very pertinent for us to reevaluate our perception of velocities as we improve our knowledge. And that is the principle or the philosophy behind this endeavor that we have carried out so far. Also, I'd like to draw our attention to the harmony that exists between physics and mathematics. Looking at the two disciplines, we can see that they are so interwoven, to the point that it won't be out of place to say mathematics is the language in which physics is communicated, or the language in which the language used to describe physical phenomena. Particularly for this presentation this evening, let me draw our attention to the mathematical concept of proportionality. So under the concept of proportionality, we have two variants. We have the direct proportionality, in which case, if you have two physical quantities, you have, say, X and Y, we see that as X increases, Y also increases with it. And then we have the inverse proportionality, in which case, as X increases, Y tends to decrease. So basically, we find the use of this concept in several aspects of physics, science, basically. For example, the law of gravitation proposed by Newton, we see that the force of gravity
It seemed like we're knocked off. Is it just me?
I guess our presenter is probably having some network issues. We might have to give him some time.
I just reached out to him. He's connecting back. His network just got cut off, but he's reconnecting back. Let's just give him a few minutes to get back, please.
All right, thanks for reaching. Thanks.
Okay, sorry, apologies for that break in transmission. The presenter is joining in back now. Dr. Dagogo, confirm you can hear me all right. So Simeon, what we will do to, as if we already planned for this, what we will do is you share the screen and move the slides from your end. He thinks that there is a technical glitch between him sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Simeon. I think that's what I was trying to resolve with you initially.
Can someone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Simeon,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
we can hear you. Simeon is back. Simeon I can hear both of you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Simeon, can you confirm you got what I said?
It's coming up.
Okay, great. I just wanted to be sure. Okay, Dagogo, you can go to the next slide now and carry on from here.
Okay.
Apologies, audience. We'll make a bit adjustment and put extra 3 minutes on your time, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me apologize. Let me apologize everyone for the technical issues. Okay, to the next slide. I think I've gone beyond this point. Next slide, please. Okay, so I was talking about the relationship between physical quantities. They could be directly proportional or inversely proportional. So in physics, we have seen such relationships. In the case of the gravity field, we see an inverse relationship. In the case of electricity, we find a direct relationship between voltage and current. However, when it comes to the study of seismic wave propagation, we find something contradictory. Okay, so here we have the theoretical expressions for seismic velocities. For the computational wave velocity Vp, we see it represented in equation 1. For the shear wave velocity Vs, we see it represented in equation 2. So looking at these equations, we can decide whether they are showing us an inverse proportionality or a direct proportionality. Can you go to the next slide, please, Simeon? Okay, so looking at that at those expressions, we find that velocities have an inverse proportionality relationship with density, as you can see. So we expect that as density decreases, velocity should increase, and vice versa. However, the next slide, please. However, if you practically, when you go out to the field and you measure velocities, you see something different. You see something contradictory to what the theoretical equation shows. So this table shows us typical values of densities and velocities of some known rocks. And looking at it, you see, as well as portrayed by the graph, you see that as density increases, velocity also increases. Meaning, practically, you have something, you have the velocity is showing us a relationship with density that is directly proportional. Can you go to the next slide? So practically, what we find is that velocities have a direct relationship with density, contrary to what we see as the theoretical expressions of velocities. So this basically is the paradox we are talking about, or the contradiction between theory and practice. Naturally, growing up, I've never heard of this kind of contradiction between mathematics and physics, because they are so interwoven that contradictions never arise. But when you look physically at these equations, you discover whereas you're supposed to see a direct relationship, you are seeing an inverse. Whereas we are supposed to see an inverse relationship, practically you are seeing a direct relationship. So this is what we thought about taking up to see how we can resolve. Okay, next slide, please. So to try to resolve this contradiction or paradox, we try to derive some information, make some inference from what we have seen. So we thought about it and decided that for the practical situation to arise, it must mean that the numerators of the velocity expressions must increase by some index factor of density. for any density increment. Okay, following directly from that, we then went on to note that elastic modules must have some dependence on density, such that they can be represented in the form given in equation 3. So, based on what we have seen between theory and practice, we came up to discover that somehow these elastic moduli, which are parameters in the velocity expressions, can be represented in a form shown by equation 3. So this is the form of representation we went on to see if we can formulate for both the elastic moduli and the velocities by extension. The next slide, please. So to do this, we recalled Castainer's relation between computational velocities and shear wave velocities, which is given as equation 4. And using that equation 4, we rewrote equation 2 to get equation 5. And if you walk through the algebra, you get mu, you get an expression for mu, which is a function of both density and P wave velocities. Okay, so that's represented in equation 7. Simeon, can you go to the next slide? Next slide, please.
I've moved to slide forward.
Dr. Dagoga, you can don't bother turning on your video, just so we can keep the bandwidth for audio. If you can hear me, you can leave out the video just to keep the network stable.
You can go ahead and unmute.
Okay. I'm really sorry about these technical problems. Okay, so like I was saying, the formulation. So I haven't got the mu represented in terms of density and P wave velocities. We can now rewrite the P wave velocity, the initial P wave velocity, using the definition we just obtained for mu. And if you walk through the algebra again, you get equation 8, which is an expression for lambda as a function of density and P wave velocity again. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so going further, we invoked the relationship between density and P wave velocity proposed by Al Ismail in 2017 as a fallout of Gardner's equation, which we have there. And using that equation, we rewrote an expression for VP, which we have there as equation 9. So I'll just note, next slide, I'll just note that the exact or original Gardner's equation is what is going to display next. Next slide, please, Simeon. So that's the original Gardner's equation. However, Ismail decided to modify it because he felt this was a more comprehensive representation of the relationship between density and P wave velocity. Okay, so using this equation 9, then in equation 8, you can now see that we now have an expression that shows lambda purely as a function of densities. Okay, so next slide. Next slide, please. So also using equation 9 in equation 6, gives us, and walking through the algebra again, we get an expression for, next slide, Simeon. We get an expression for mu that is purely a function of densities as seen in equation 11. So these are the kinds of expressions we thought about generating from the onset, because like we saw from the equation 1 or 2, from equation 3, we saw that we wanted an expression for the elastic moduli that is a function of densities. And that's what we have achieved so far. So going forward, we went on to substitute these derived expressions in the initial equations. We have equation 1 and equations 1 and 2. Okay, so substituting equation 10 and 11 in equations 1 and 2, and walking through the algebra, we obtain equation 12, which now gives us the expression for computational wave velocity VP purely as a function of densities. Okay, going further, also looking at equation 2, substituting equation 10 and 11 in equation 2, we obtain, next slide, we obtain the expression of shear wave velocity as a function purely of densities. So we have reformulated velocity expressions that we see from all indications are devoid of the contradiction we spotted earlier. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so from what we have done so far, we are able to come up with some inference or some derivables that we have been able to see. So first point we have noted is that the reformulated expressions are more intuitive, okay? And we see that they are devoid of this contradiction between theory and practice, okay? Next, we have noted that looking at the expressions as they are in their raw form, we see that they look very cumbersome, okay? And the moderator was saying he hopes I'm going to make the expressions a little easier. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Anyways, they look really cumbersome at this point, but we believe that once we're able to estimate accurately those empirical coefficients we have used in cause of the formulation, we believe they are going to get simpler and possibly be as easy as we would want it. The next point we noted is that elastic moduli can, and several other reservoir parameters or rock properties can be derived from density, which is a more physically simpler property to relate with. It's easier for you to go out and say you're measuring density than for you to go out and say you're measuring, say, bulk modulus or you're measuring lambda. So, but if you can begin to relate them in terms of density, if you can begin to represent them in terms of density, you see that it becomes easier because density is something you can easily, it's very close to being a fundamental quantity. Okay, so, and finally, by just to try and find some credibility for what we have done, for the formulation we have gone through, we note that if we had substituted, if we had used the exact Gardner and density, if we had used it in this formulation, what we would have arrived at as the velocity expression for VP would have been that same equation. Okay, and like we all know, Gardner was able to come up with that model purely by an empirical process. Okay, he performed experiments, got lots of data, and then began to correlate and all of that, and he came up with that that model. But for us, we have done it theoretically, basically, and we see that we could arrive at the same expression for density. So we find that as a first pass or a first level of validity for the work we have done. So going forward, next slide, please.
I think, Doc, I think you should be rounding up.
I'm already rounding up. Yes. So going forward, what we are looking at is to say the next stage of this line of thought or this line of research will be to accurately estimate these empirical coefficients that we have used in cause of generating these reformulated expressions, the A, C, M, N, and G, and also deciphering their physics. Okay, and then as a direct fallout of that, we'll need to numerically validate this formulation because we have claimed that you can represent velocities in terms of density. You can begin to relate or represent elastic modeling in terms of density velocity of density. Sorry. So we need to really go out to the field and then make measurements, measure densities, maybe for a field, then also measure going through the usual experimentation method, measure other parameters, and then come back and see if we can simulate these parameters and then compare with the practically measured ones. Okay, so, and then finally, this is what I consider to be a game changer, because we are thinking this should be able to change the way exploration is really carried out if it really can work out the way we expect it to work. We believe rather than go out to do all the sophisticated experimentation, which costs millions of dollars, if we can easily just accurately measure density, then we can sit in the comfort of our offices or in our homes and then begin to simulate whatever parameter we find interesting to us. So that's what we think should, as a fallout of this line of thought, be the disruption to the petroleum industry. Okay, so I want to say thank you very much for listening. And I hope people will pick up this line of thought and maybe think of how to join in searching for these solutions we see. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if we can give a round of applause to our presenter first. Can we do that? Yeah, I think a lot of people are already doing that. Thank you very much for this fantastic presentation. We have just one question for you, and that's coming from Dr. Jude. Please want to encourage people who have questions to please ask, because this looks like something that is still in the works. Is more of the research, space where we need to consider, deriving those coefficients, the empirical coefficients. How do we do that? How do we arrive at getting those? So let me keep my thought first. Let's take the first question. It says, are you considering the compaction trend for the rocks, burial gradient, and all that? So that's a question that I think that's the only question that we've got here for you. So if you can maybe quickly respond to that.
Well, like we said, compaction basically directly affects density. The more compacted the material is, the higher the density becomes. So looking at what we have done, yes, the compaction trend is taken into consideration because compaction directly affects density. The other thing I could have mentioned is to say possibly the variation, the dependence of velocity is not solely on density. As in, the dependence of velocity is not solely on velocity because the elastic constants are not, the elastic moduli are not constants per se. So when you have compaction, it also affects them. But the beauty of what we have done is that we have represented those elastic constants in terms of density. So whatever effect compaction has on the elastic moduli, it's captured through density. So I think it gives you a holistic view of what happens, both in terms of burial, depth of burial, or formation history. That's what I think.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks. I don't know, is there any other person again? I think there is a hand raised. Let me see if I can. Whose hand is raised? Jude, is it the same hand?
Dr. Misha, you can take the question on the chat. I will put a voice later after the questions.
Okay. Okay, so there's another question here. Can your parameter be related to anisotropic parameters?
Well,
yes, go ahead, please.
I think the obvious answer is yes. Like I said before, whatever effects that, whatever, what do I call it? Whatever phenomenon that has elastic parameters, elastic moduli, has been captured. It's all encapsulated in what we have derived, because we derived directly from velocity, we derived from those elastic parameters themselves. So whatever phenomenon that has an effect on any of those parameters initially in the velocity equation is also captured in what we have done.
Okay. All right. So let me see. Looks like there seemed to be another question, another hand raised. Patience, please. You can take your question, please. Hello, can you hear us? All right, so I just want to play it this way. Now, we're talking about, you know, making this relationship linear, that's from all indication, so that the physics and the mathematics can actually be talking to themselves. Because when you look at, you know, the real rocks and what happened, you see that actually your velocity will increase with density, or your density, as it increases, it affects your velocities. Now, the question is this simply: the model that, you know, you're postulating now, what's the plan to try it out and then test it against a measured value, you know, so more like a plug and play? Is there any plan to do that?
Yeah, I think I've already presented where I said the first thing we need to do going forward is to estimate accurately those empirical coefficients we have used in the formulation. Okay, so as a direct fallout of that, once we are able to get those coefficients accurately, the next thing is to do a numerical validation of the formulation, which will now require us to do what you are talking about, which will require us to go to the field, possibly make measurements of whatever parameter we think we can relate using our formulation, and then come back, sit down, and then predict those parameters, and then begin to correlate them and see how well they correlate with our measurements. So that's, yes, it's part of the plan. But first, we need to accurately determine those coefficients. And we know those coefficients vary from basin to basin. So that's another broad area of research, I think. Either we begin to think of establishing those coefficients in the various basins, or we look for a way to, if possible, to unify, to come up with a unified global coefficients that can be applied across the world. So basically, yes, it's part of the plan, and we hope to be able to work to achieve that.
All right, thank you very much. We take the next question. We'll just give room for one more so that we can begin to wrap up. It says, I want to find out if there is variation in the relationship between velocity and density holds for other materials, or it's only observed in rocks.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very good question. So yes, to a large extent, it holds for other materials. I should have mentioned before now, we have salt on that table. So basically for salt, you discover for its low density, it has a very high velocity. So that's a departure from what we find in theory and practice. However, even for salt, you have density, you have velocity also increasing with density. So it becomes a little complex. But generally, I know of salts for now. I can't really say for other materials because I'm a geophysicist, kind of like, so I know of rocks, and salt is somehow related to what we do sometimes. So yes, there may be one or two exceptions, but generally you can say to a large extent, all materials fall, or you find the same contradiction in most of the materials we have.
All right, so thank you very much. I think that's the last question that we have here. Before I hand back to Simeon again. Yes, please.
Sorry, I saw Patience saying she couldn't unmute herself, so that's why she couldn't ask a question. So I don't know if she can.
I think she posted a question here.
Oh, okay.
I think
Right,
she posted a question here. Let's see. Okay. Okay, hold on. Thank you, Dr. Dagogo, for that wonderful presentation. Please, did you take into account the effect of overburden in your velocity formulation?
It feels like the first question I was asked, if I took into consideration the effect of compaction. The effect of overburden is basically it leads to compaction. It leads to temperature increase and pressure increase, basically, and all of those are things that result finally to overburden leads to compaction, which leads to increase in velocity. Okay, so yes, it's been taken into consideration.
All right, so let's see if we've got any other. I think that's the last one we have, and we cannot overflow the time here because it's a. I think we're about halfway into the hour. Jude, you have a question to ask here?
I think I'll leave it out for want of time. There's been a couple of thoughts, with pore pressures, with underwatered pressures associated with low sediment. So maybe cut a lot of things, but it's something I can always engage a doc on outside. I'm so sorry. And I also, okay, when you wrap up then, are you wrapping up already?
Okay, so I think the key thing here, honestly, coming from the same background as this research and it's not something that is that would end maybe in a week or in 2 weeks' time. It could be a series of people that will go into these and try to estimate these and that and begin to bring in all these gumot of things that's associated with research. But the beauty about it is we also have our own brother who is looking at simplifying the whole thing around the relationship. I only hope that at the end of the day we're able to narrow these things down rather than having this wide and everywhere. Let's concentrate on given areas, maybe in this part of the delta or this other part of the delta, this works, and then we can begin to compare. And then hopefully at the end of the day, we'll be able to say, yeah, we can use that in the industry and then add more value to the kind of work that we are doing. But I can assure you that I think this is just the beginning. There's quite a lot ahead of us. So I want to say well done to you, and please do keep it up. There'll be challenges along the way, but I trust that you and your team, you will do a very good work. And on these notes, I want to hand back to you guys, Jude and Simon. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share these April edition of the SPE 103 monthly technical meeting. Thank you very much as I sign up here. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mishak. Thank you very much, Dr. Dagogo. As can be evident, okay, I'll take a pause. The SC has a comment. SC, do you want to take you? I see your hand raised. Do you want to go ahead now or later?
Okay, if we are almost running up, good evening, everyone. If you permit me, or maybe I wait for...
Yes, we're rounding up the technical presentation bit. So yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, TIC, for always putting what you know how to do best. Apologies that I joined a bit late. I was in the council meeting in preparation for NAIS. So as soon as we were done with that meeting, I had to still pop into the Monday technical meeting. I'm sure the program chair had expressed the section appreciation to both the speaker and the moderator. So thank you, Dr. Richard. Thank you, Dr. Lucky, for taking our time to share and expatiate on the topic. I was actually looking forward to really understanding what is this paradox. Okay. But I know everything is on record, so I'll reach out to Secretariat and also have my own learning on this technical presentation. As a section, we sincerely appreciate And we look forward to having you subsequently, either in this board year or in the next board year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, SC, for chiming in there, and special thanks to the presenter and the moderator. As you could already see that this generated a lot of discussion, because it's something that has to do with science. At the minimum, if we had more time, I'm sure more conversation will erupt even in the algebra, and then conversation both for the young minds wanting to know how the equations are being plugged. It's just that the moderator had wrapped up. I was going to give Patience airtime, but Patience, please bear with us. I know you were trying to unmute yourself. We should have unmuted you. Apologies. I hope most of your questions were touched upon. And the beauty of SPE technical meeting, if this was physical, we would have enough time to network. At the end of the meeting, we'll we'll have reserved time, private chat, the speaker, you can have your contact exchange, continue this conversation out of this place. The real innovation indeed will happen out of this place. Here is just an introduction of what's going on in the Research Institute of a university just around us here in the University of Port Harcourt. And we do appreciate this presentation. Simeon, let's go ahead. I think we have a bit on our screen. Simeon, are we able to share the screen?
I'm only seeing you, CIT. I'm seeing your face.
Yeah, I'm waiting on Simeon for the screen. But in any case, okay. Simeon, next, please. SC, I'd like to invite you again. As usual, you can choose to yield the floor to maybe an SD on the call, but this is you again, where we appreciate our presenter and our moderator duly. Over to you, SC. Thank you.
Thank you, Technical Information Chair. Do we have, and I've checked, maybe help me also check if we have any section director in the call.
We had SD Abada at some point. I think we lost him now. No.
Both of us were in the council meeting. Okay, so let me quickly take this. So this is Certificate of Appreciation, and it's proudly presented to Dr. T. Dagogo. We want to especially appreciate you for volunteering as a speaker for the 2023 April monthly technical meeting on the topic resolving the mathematical paradox of seismic wave velocity. I'm quite very sure that you did justice to this topic, and so we present this, I would say, certificate of appreciation to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
PC is in this call, so PC, please, can you do this? Thank you. Hello, PC. Program chair, are you there? Okay. Let me quickly wrap through. I think she has network issues. So again, this is another certificate of appreciation proudly presented by the SPE Port Harcourt Section Board to Dr. Omudu Lucky. We want to especially appreciate you for volunteering as a moderator for 2023 April monthly technical meeting on the topic resolving the mathematical paradox. I almost said model. Mathematical paradox of seismic wave velocity. It takes a lot to be able to put together another person's thoughts, and this is what Dr. Lucky did. Thank you very much, Doctor, for doing justice to this topic. We appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so grateful, Daniel, Abia, and Judo Semobi, and everyone in this body for giving me the opportunity to moderate this fantastic topic that we listened to today. Thank you very much. Grateful.
Thank you very much. Thank you, SC. And for notification, the certificate will be duly emailed to you after this call, so you don't have to bother, and you'll receive it on your provided email addresses. Thank you very much once again. I still see the conversation. Again, please, presenter, moderator, you can keep engaging in the conversation on the chat box, even as the rest of the SPE event continues. As already remarked in the agenda, could we please take the photograph now, just in case if our presenter or the moderator would like to leave, so that we would have captured their presence and keep these pictures for audit trail. Simeon, please come and do what you know how to do best. Thank you. Dr. Misha, good to see you, sir. So let's turn on our camera. Simeon, over to you, please. Simeon, talk to us now. Let's know when we are ready. Hello, Simeon. No, it doesn't seem like Simeon
is on the call. He's not on the call. Looks like today is a day of network glitches.
Yeah, okay, we'll probably have to do this on his behalf. And please, let's turn on our cameras if we can. Not so much is on, but we can just take this, say cheese. Can we get a lot more cameras turned on? Okay, we'll take it after 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, we encourage you to stay back in the rest of the program. But now we've lost Simeon. Okay, Simeon is back. Simeon.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I think I've taken the pictures, maybe unless there's a way you take it specially. Do you want us to repeat the photograph, or we should carry on with the rest of the program?
Let's just do it again.
Okay, apologies, participants, because I'm not sure if I did what he would like. Please, let's turn on our video once again, as many as we can, so that we all take it again. Simeon, over to you. Please, let's do it quick.
Okay, we are good, so we can move.
Okay, excellent. Can you return back to the slides so we can wrap up? I think next is a membership drive. I thought I saw a sponsorship page. Okay, so this is to also remark to us both at the University of Port Harcourt, where our presenter came from, our moderator from Shell, and audience from different walks of companies and life. That usually will prefer, we can see how we struggle with virtual, but because we don't want to drain ourselves of learnings, we have to live with what we can. But we really, really, really want to have this as a face-to-face event. So please, sponsorship is open. If you think we can come have our monthly technical meeting in the University of Port Harcourt, we don't need much to host this. We just need your commitment, your venue, and we can come anywhere. If you also think Shell can sponsor an event, please, and even present in that sponsorship, or any other person on this call. This is just a call that the networking it will bring, the physical contact and the physical learning is more appreciable and enormous. Let's not deprive ourselves and deny ourselves from meeting physically because the virtual world, which is part of our world now, has come to stay. Thank you very much as you do this. And please feel free to contact myself or Simeon or any SPE member. Your request will be duly attended to. Thank you. Next, do I have Duruzo or Dr. Okereke on the call? Okay. PC, do you want to help me as I catch my breath? Hello, Madam PC.
Okay, yeah, so good evening once again.
Good evening,
So these are membership column. And basically, we're a group of people who are members of the Society of Petroleum Engineers. You don't have to be an engineer. It's a place for all of today's oil and gas, energy industry professionals, students, regardless of your experience or course of study. So we have a lot of we have 4 sets of groups of members. We have the student membership, we have the recent graduates, we have young professionals and senior professionals. So you can actually fit into one of those buckets. The membership benefits are enormous. It includes strong industry network of leaders, peers, and mentors. Being a member of SPE gives you opportunity of meeting people that you didn't actually believe you're going to meet. It gives you opportunity, since we attend events together, you're able to reach out to people, you share ideas with them. We also have you have opportunities of attending live technical events like this one that you just attended. This is an opportunity if you're an SPE member. Then you have enhanced industry knowledge. A lot of us that joined today's call might have forgotten this topic when it was taught in university, but now you have an opportunity of relearning it again. And there's so much more for you to get out of being an SPE member. You can always reach out to any SPE member, myself, Dr. Jude, Simeon, SC, and we'll take you through. And it costs, the membership, new registration is 26,000 and renewal is 21,000. And for students, it's free, both registration and renewal, and a lot of things you'll get to learn when you're a member. Thank you. So upcoming events for the month of May, and we have 2 big events coming up. We have the annual technical symposium and exhibition. It's planned for Friday, May 19th. While we also have the STEM Fair program. For the STEM Fair, the theme for the event is innovative solutions for future technology and sustainability. It's happening on the 13th of May, 2023. a lot of prizes will be won. It's an opportunity for us to come and support our students. Mostly we'll have a lot of secondary school students featuring in debates. There will be exhibitions and there will be quiz. So please come and join us to catch them young and pull them and so that they will benefit from us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam PC, for taking the session. We're about to wrap up. So we can take this as whiteboard, AOB, any other business from any board member, or is there anything we've missed out? If there is no other one, I would join us all to take the national anthem. And thereafter, the section chairman takes us for the closing formalities, and we all retire for a happy weekend. Any other business? Whiteboard space? Okay. Thank you very much. Let's take the national anthem, Simeon. Is it gonna play or are we gonna read? Okay, play, yeah. Thank you very much. Final words from SC.
Okay, I keep it very simple. So many thanks to the TIC for putting this together. Thanks once again to both the speaker and the moderator, programs chair. I can see Amara is in the call. Enye Keme, Ibioimo, Cyril, Egu Nelson. Apologies if I have not pronounced on them clearly. Mem Udo, Okechukwu, Adizwa, Patience Ogo, Patience Ogo. Thanks everyone, for giving your time and your valuable time to this technical meeting this evening. We really appreciate on behalf of Section 103 SP Port Harcourt. Thank you and have a pleasant weekend and happy Workers' Day on May 1st.
Thank you, everyone.